Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.
Hello everybody, welcome to Guitar Stories 2022, episode number 60. Hey Dan!
Hey Andy, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. I'm a little nervous because it's our first episode of 2022. We haven't done it for a while. We've been away for Christmas. I've been ill. We're back. We've got a big guest tonight. Lots and lots of gear to catch up on. And so many people in the chat already. The people who are listening and watching the live version. Hello, live people.
Hello, everyone. And Andy, I gotta admit, you gotta do it this way. The jazz hands, right? Hello. I'm also so nervous. The routine is kind of gone, and it's so cool to see like 50 people already in the chat waiting for us and kind of missing us. That's so nice. Yeah.
I've missed doing the show, but also I've enjoyed the break. You know, a break is good, but I'm very, very eager to speak to Robert Baker tonight because I don't think Robert and I have ever we've chatted like text chat and stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever actually had a video conversation.
That is cool. I think I met
But I
him
feel like
once
I know him.
Yeah.
I watched so many of his videos, and he seems like such a cool dude, which of course we'll put to the test tonight. But tonight's episode, our guest is Robert Baker, who is he's a shred master, he's a Led Zeppelin fan, he has really long hair, and he's super cool and super chilled out. And I'm genuinely a bit of a fan, and I bought his course, Dan. That's kind of why we're here today, talking about stuff like that.
Okay.
I bought his course, and it's great.
Cool. Yeah, it will be a hairy affair because I feel like kind of underdressed with you, putting the throwback to action, and Rob with his long kind of Zakk Wylde inspired hairdo.
Yeah. There's a lot of hair going on, but I think you'll be okay. You've got the beard, so you're okay. With your hair and your beard, you'll be fine.
Yeah. All right.
Let's say hello to some people in the chat. There's lots of people, lots of names I recognize, and lots of names I don't recognize. So welcome if you're new. Click the subscribe button. Go and download it. Go and do all that stuff. We've got many people. My goodness. We've got Paul Crane, Buzzle, Ra, Poo Ninja, Valeria, Crana, Sarang, Bard Pendragon, Christian, Basement Dwellers, Andy Bungert. Bungert. I've lived in Austria too long to know how to pronounce people's names. Nathan, Ryan, Frank, Louise. If I didn't read your name out, I'm sorry, but welcome. If you're listening to the audio version, also welcome. Wherever you are, be safe, drive safely, or sit safely, or if you're on the train or something, ride safely. Where do you listen to podcasts, Dan?
Well, before I go to sleep, so I was actually saying sleep well. So in case we are kind of entertaining you for the last minutes of your day until you fall to sleep. Why not?
Well, here's a little message for all the people that are about to fall gently to sleep. Wake up! Because we've got Robert Baker on the show tonight. Dan, let's talk about something that is not so happy, the news today. Let's do some less than happy news, but then get back into some gear and cheer ourselves back up again.
All right.
Some sad news today in the guitar world. We lost what people are calling a genius of amplifiers. And I've never played one of his amps, but I know a lot of people rave about them. And that is the founder of Dumble Amps has passed away, Alexander Dumble. And if you don't know Dumble Amps, you might have heard of Eric Clapton and Carlos Santana and Stevie Ray Vaughan and Robin Ford and John Mayer. They all play... Oh, and Joe Bonamassa, of course. How could I forget him? They've all played Dumble Amps. And sadly, Alexander passed away. So we just wanted to give a little bit of a Guitar Stories tribute, respect to Alexander Dumble. And, all the best to his family. I don't really know what to do about death, Stan. I try and be respectful, but I don't really like talking about it that much. Any thoughts?
Well, super sad. I don't know if he was ill or if there's any further reason about that, but I think he will be missed by a lot of guitar aficionados that were like looking for his tone, because I think he was a boutique builder right from the get-go, right? So he would only produce a handful amps per year. So they were always going already for crazy prices, but I think they will now. From now on, they will only skyrocket. So that might be the next holy grail when it comes to amps.
Absolutely. I think they're already priced pretty highly, but I know he started off sort of modding Fenders and things like that, but he was... I don't know. It's hard to comment on someone that seems so prolific in the guitar music instrument industry, but yet so few people have actually played one of his amps. But you know what I mean? So like people, we talk about, to digress slightly, we talk about a Marshall sound and an Orange sound and a Fender sound, and people talk about the Dumble sound. It's an odd thing to comment on because I don't think many people have played it. So,
right.
And now that's not really going to change, is it? As you just said, the amps are not going to be made anymore. But it's some sad times. But he changed music, I guess. He really did make some differences to some guitar players' lives. So he's going to be sorely missed. So wherever you are, I hope you're building amps there. And, yeah.
For
well,
Hendrix or someone else. I don't know.
Yeah, whomever. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, right. I don't want to be disrespectful and say move on, but we should move on. Absolutely. Let's move on to the huge list of gear that we have this episode. Well, I warn you, we have lots... Oh, hello. I'm here and Dan's not here. We've had our first technical issue of the show. There we go. I don't know why that's still there. We've got a few little problems with the computer. Oh dear.
Well, it's the first time you're streaming on your new laptop. So new background,
yeah.
laptop.
I've got a new background. So... Yeah, exactly. I don't know why that's doing that. At least I'm not showing like all my emails in the background and stuff like that, or someone's address that I've done on other live shows.
Yeah, I mean that might be good timing to just announce that we're going to do the buy, borrow, burn gear news thing a little bit differently. So from this episode on, we want to do a super quick overview of what has been new throughout the course of the week, and then Andy, I, and you are picking our 3 picks of the week, and then we do the buy, borrow, burn like we used to. Sounds good?
Sounds good. So we've got a huge list of gear to get through. And then if you notice there's some gear being released that we haven't mentioned, it might be because it's our pick of the week. So the first thing that's on screen if you're watching the video version, if you're not, then you can't see it. It's a new guitar audio interface from Positive Grid. I think it might be called the Riff. I didn't really get much information apart from the fact this is $99 as an introductory price to go up to $179 when they actually release it. So it's a pre-order, but I think a pre-order that saves you $80 is actually a pretty decent pre-order. Any thoughts, Dan?
Definitely. I like the price. Could you elaborate a little bit more on what you can actually do with it? Like, how powerful is that small device?
It's a USB Lightning cable for iOS devices. It's also USB for Windows and Mac. You can have 24 bits, 96 kilohertz high resolution audio. There's a high headroom instrument input and a headphone output and a 1/4-inch stereo line output, so you can plug it into speakers as well. So it's not a fully fledged studio, so you can't plug mics and stuff into it. But I guess the idea from Positive Grid is to get your guitar into your computer to use their software. There's lots and lots of these
piece of gear.
Absolutely, there's lots of these sorts of things on the market, but this one seems to be a pretty high spec one at an introductory price of $99, which is crazy.
Awesome. Are they shipping to the US just, or is it like worldwide? Because I was reading one comment of Brad who said they're not available in Australia, which is super bad. Aussies, super sorry. So
I have no idea. I mean, I do some work with Positive Grid, and there's a lot of stuff happening in Taiwan. So the people I speak to are normally in Taiwan, and I'm a little bit worried because Positive Grid tend to have a little bit of a problem with pre-orders. Like when they did the Spark, they upset a lot of people initially.
Okay.
Yeah. And also Buzzle comes up with an interesting comment of who actually uses 24-bit 96 kilohertz. That's a very good point. I don't. I'll be honest. But yeah, it looks pretty. I'll give it that. That's for sure. It certainly looks. I'm going to say it looks sexy and sleek with a big knob on it.
Yeah.
And a nice big LCD display. That's all often useful. But I'm sure I'll get one in the studio at some point. Dan, we've forgotten something very, very naughty. We've forgotten to talk about Lewitt audio.
You're absolutely right. Because we're using new microphones, at least.
We have got new mics, yeah. Look, here we are. There's mine. There's Dan's.
Here's mine.
Just there. We're using Lewitt audio, the 440 LCT 440 Pure. So if you're really enjoying the sound tonight, it's thanks to Lewitt Audio, who have also sponsored this show. So thank you, Lewitt, for sponsoring the show and kitting us out with new microphones, because I use this mic all the time. I've had it for a while, but now I'm actually using it for the show. Yeah. Dan, how are you finding your LCT 440 Pure?
Amazing. We already used it yesterday for a couple video shoots, and also the approach of live stream, which didn't happen because a cable was broken, but those mics, they are super nice. And they look gorgeous. I brought a couple, because I need a cable. I brought them to our IT department, and they were like, oh, that looks like a super expensive microphone. I was like, yeah, it's a good one. So it looks good. It sounds good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we are not the ones to judge the tone in comparison to previous episodes, but from what I can hear from you and from yesterday, I'm super happy with that. So thanks, Louis.
Yeah. Also, they're not expensive. They're about €260, something like that. So I think the Lewitt thing is about giving good quality for a low price. Anyway, enough of the ad. Even though it is coming from the heart, we do believe it. Here is the next piece of gear. No, it isn't. Why is my computer not letting me do that? Right, we found our first problem. Come here, little computer. There.
Eventually.
The Guitar Butler from Orange. The Guitar Butler. Now, I checked out the Bass Butler from Orange when I was the last NAM that we ever had till this year. And I spoke to Morgan and Aid and all the guys at Orange, and it was the Bass Butler was based on Morgan, who plays session for Muse, his bass rig in a pedal. And the Guitar Butler is the guitar version, but it's not based on anyone's particular rig, but it's kind of an Orange sound in a box, or rather a few Orange sounds in a box. And if you haven't seen Aid, the engineer from Orange, if you haven't seen the video where he's in it, go and watch it, because it's absolutely brilliant. And he's one of my favorite people in the world to listen to. And if you don't know what he sounds like the roadie from Wayne's World. And if you don't know who that is, then go and watch Wayne's World, then come back.
Yeah. Stop the show now. Watch Wayne's World and then come back.
Yeah, pause it. Wake up, get out of bed, and go and watch Wayne's World. Awesome. Apparently, I say butler so elegantly. I'm butler. Now I'm conscious of the fact that I'm saying butler, and it has butt in it. Anyway, haven't played it, but I will do at some point. I saw some videos. Did you see any videos about it, Dan?
Just like the video with Aid, and but I definitely need to check it out. It sounds super interesting. Is that already available, or is it just like a pre-order?
It is. No, it is. It is available already.
Cool. All right. Well, 2 channels, super interesting. If you get Orange in a box, I'm always up for that, because that will be super when you're touring. You need to lift heavy amps or anything like that. Yeah. Are you going
our next piece of gear? Sorry, I will at some point in the future. Honestly, Dan, and Charlie's not here, so I can say this.
Okay.
I owe Orange a few videos, so I can't do any new Orange stuff till I've done the old stuff.
Damn. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but don't tell anyone. Nobody mention that. Okay. I didn't say that.
No. Secret.
Our next gear is from a little guitar company called Gibson. They have reissued, kind of, the Maestro fuzz pedal, the one that kind of changed everything in the world of guitar effects. And they've also done another lot of similar boxes, because why not? Dan's heard them, I haven't. So, Daniel Getka, over to you. Dr. Dan, sorry.
I've actually checked out the Andertons video to get a first impression, because obviously neither Andy nor I have gotten our hands so far on these pedals. But from what I understood, is their history is amazing. I think the looks are pretty cool, and tones, especially the fuzz tone. I mean, this is basically 60s rock in a box. And this is always something, if tone is easily to achieve and it's almost plug and play, that's something I'm extremely pleased with, because there are so many pedals in the market, and that plethora of pedals, where you need almost a PhD to kind of get a good tone out of it. That's not something that I'm gravitating towards. And with these pedals, with the dial of a couple knobs, you already achieve a pretty great tone that has its roots back in the 60s, and that sounded pretty amazing. So yeah, I was pretty pleased with it. It took me by surprise that Gibson actually re-released or redesigned the series, but it's cool. And actually, I mean, the history is pretty nice. If you think that this was the first guitar pedal in the market that you can buy, if I'm not mistaken, or at least among the first. I mean, that's pretty hard to kind of even digest, because nowadays you have 1 million pedals, and every day you get 10 more that are coming out, and another limited edition, and another special color, and the redesign of this, and the USB version of that. Damn, that's the OG pedal. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, my question is it the OG pedal? Because I'm skeptical, because just because it's got the same or the similar name, the FZM, doesn't make it the same pedal. And there are lots of fuzz pedals based on that pedal that are already in existence. Mm-hmm. Perfecto de Castro is in the chat, and he knows someone who has them. That would be him. By the way, if you've joined us on the live stream and you're wondering when Robert is going to be joining us, Robert Baker, of course, our guest for this evening, he'll be joining us in round about 10 minutes. We do gear, and then we'll get on to stuff with Robert, because there's some people asking in the chat, where's Robert at? Robert is getting ready. He's probably straightening and glossing his hair. That's what I'd be doing if I were Robert Baker, with his beautiful, luxurious locks. Let's move on from Gibson. Let's do the PRS. Thousands of PRS guitars. Dan, PRS. Yeah. Oh, not thousands, but many.
Like a handful. Actually, yeah, PRS was pretty much in line with a lot of companies that did not, release too many new models for the new year. And, at the forefront of their release was obviously the Silver Sky SE, to be more precise. And the Indonesian-made version of the Silver Sky was probably the worst kept secret in the guitar industry for the last couple months. So seeing that finally being released, and with a lot of buzz and a great video, I highly encourage everyone to check out the video that in which John is introducing the guitar. That's pretty cool to see. And yeah, I mean, we haven't tried them obviously, because they are due mid of February in Europe mainland, so it's still subject to a proper test. But they look pretty interesting, and I'm always game when there's excitement about the guitar, and I think John Mayer is one of the guys that's able to kind of enthuse people, that are kind of on the outer skirts of our universe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That have heard about John Mayer, maybe know a couple songs. So he might be able to, get more buzz out there, and that's always cool.
It could result in. I agree with you, and to follow on from that, it can result in more new guitar players.
Exactly.
I'm not sure that their pricing will encourage new guitar players. And to talk about John Mayer for a little bit, he was talking about new players, and I'm thinking, all right, it's $849 and about €1,000. That is not new guitar player pricing. That is far above new guitar player pricing. It should be. I mean, new guitar players should have a good instrument, and I'm sure it is a good instrument. Fairly sure. But, John Mayer may have lost touch, or he's just, accidentally misspoke. But it is not new guitar player pricing for absolutely certain. But I desperately do want to try one, and I want to compare it to a Mexican Fender Strat, the Player Plus, or possibly a Player, because I'm thinking that's kind of the same range of quality to be expected. Maybe chuck an AZES in there from Ibanez just for a laugh,
There you go. Actually, what I want to see is a blind test of a Squier Classic vibe, an Ibanez AZ, the PRS SE, and the Fender Mexican Strat. That would be amazing to kind of get a super nice blindfold test between these guitars.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, we could elaborate much longer on this. Just to pick on the topic of pricing, I'm 100% with you. I find it. I mean, I'm no advisor for PRS or anything, so and I don't want to talk in a bad way about a competing company, but it kind of gave me a headache to see that the US pricing is $849 and the EU pricing is $999, because obviously these guitars, they are Indonesian made and not from the US. So I don't really see why there should be such a harsh discrepancy, because it's 849 equals to almost like 750 euros. So it's like 25% more in Europe. And this is something that I kind of find weird, especially for a guitar that is advertised with the claim tone for all, because I think 1K is a price tag for a, advanced or a guitarist, a serious guitarist, but it's most likely not a guitar that a beginner will be able to afford easily, Yeah.
No, but I'll just jump on AliExpress and get one that's about, I don't know, 250, 300.
Yeah, but
I'm
but
joking.
had more.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
PRS had more. Do you know, actually, we're talking about Silver Sky, the guitar that you're not going to believe this, Dan, but the guitar that actually I've fallen in love with is the Orianthi one. I think that is absolutely amazing. I didn't know. I saw it's pink. It's like a purple pink burst with a wonderful decorated fretboard. Something that I would definitely not normally go for. And I saw it, didn't know whose guitar it was or anything about it, and just thought that is something that I would like to play. I have no idea why. I'm not the target audience, I don't think, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, Orianthi was a SE artist. I think back a couple years back, they already released an SE version of her guitar with a nice O kind of logo in the fretboard. But this is like one of the gorgeous private stock guitars. I mean, this is the inlay is so meticulously crafted. The flame top, that's just gorgeous. And I think the price tag reflects it. This guitar goes for about like 12K, if I'm not mistaken. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope she gets a really successful album so we can have an SE version that only costs, I don't know, 3K.
What do you think about the Marco Terry one in the middle? The Spark Blue, I think.
Is this the same? What's the name of it? Is it Fiore? No.
Fiore.
Yeah. Thank you. I think there should be more said about that than the John Mayer Silver Sky, honestly, because I think it looks like very Silver Sky inspired, but with a humbucker at the bridge, which must make it more versatile, surely. Who knows? We have to move on, Dan. I'm sorry, we've got so much to get through. Up next is a company called Ibanez.
Yes.
Ibanez. They've done some guitars, haven't they?
Yeah, apparently, because obviously you had a couple of them in the post, so I sent you some for review purposes. But yeah,
I've played them. I've made one of the videos.
Oh,
you'll have
you
to
already
watch.
Did.
Yes, you'll have to watch. You have to stay tuned and subscribe to the channel for more information.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Yeah, new guitars. Like I said, a couple companies and Ibanez as well. They were kind of reducing the amount of guitars to put out because of the ongoing supply chain issues. So there will be more throughout the course of the year. But for January, there was a bunch of interesting guitars, mostly from Indonesia. And a couple super interesting designs when it comes to the specs, because the new premium line features, you can see on the top left, features a neck-through construction, which is a first in the premium line. It's not the first for Ibanez because there are some more RTs and RGT models, but in the premium range, it's a first. They have great sustain. They are great instruments. They look super cool. If I might digress for a second, there's a very nice story. When we were here presenting the new gear to our reps, they came to the showroom, and our lamps in the showroom, they kind of take a couple of seconds to kind of go full brightness. So I was switching on the lights, and our reps were already standing in front of the cars, and one of the reps said, "Oh, these are the new J Customs," because he couldn't see the logo. He was just, touching the guitar and kind of looking at it in a very dark environment. And he was going for, are these the J Customs? So I was like, no, these are actually the premiums. And that felt pretty good, that a seasoned player that has played a lot of Ibanez guitars was kind of mistakenly thinking that these were the J Customs. So there's no marketing plug or anything. It's just like a real story that happened here. And I dig them. So
it's no marketing plug, Dan, but if it were, it would be a bloody good one, wouldn't it? It'd be a really good one.
I know. You couldn't come up with a story like that. A guy who has a gem tattooed on his arm is kind of, thinking that these are J Customs, and that's pretty rare.
Maybe he's just really bad at his job, Dan. Maybe they're not that great. Maybe he's just sucks.
Yeah, maybe. But I always like to think in a positive way. So. Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. All right, well, that's almost all our Ibanez talk for tonight. Let's do some sort of guitar that you can't actually see because it's camouflage. It's an ESP, and I think this is the ugliest guitar I've seen in a long time. It is so ugly, I just don't get it. So, Dan, please talk about ESP before I upset anybody even further.
Oh, no. Come on. I mean, ESP
say nice things.
I will absolutely say nice things. I think ESP also came out. ESP is definitely the record holder when it comes to new releases. They dropped 46 new models for the first phase of 2022. And among the first they kind of dropped was the new James Hetfield signature. It's basically just a snakebite in a new finish, so it's nothing super special. It's not a new shape, it's not super new specs. It's just a new finish called Kuiu Como Satin. And that's definitely polarizing because I think a vast majority of people will dislike that camo finish, but I think there are quite a few people that will absolutely love this guitar. And the only thing that kind of made me chuckle a little bit is the price discrepancy between the LTD that will be priced around like $1,500 and the ESP that's more like $7,000. And this is quite a discrepancy because there's nothing in the middle,
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at what else they have to offer. We've got these I like. Hang on. There. These are the LTD, the single cut ones. A friend of ours, Benji, has one, or at least had one. And are these new finishes? Do you know much about them? They're basically Les Pauls, but metal ones, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if they are still if they're already using stainless steel frets. But I think the most striking stuff was that some models come with Evertune bridges.
Yeah.
Because these are still rather rare birds in the guitar industry. It's because of supply chain issues and because Evertune is still something that a lot of people still think is voodoo, black magic stuff. It's a rather simple concept, but in a super neat design, and especially people from the studio, they love it. Our friend Martin Miller, for instance, he was on the show. He's absolutely loving his guitars. He's got an MM1 with a Evertune, and he's got an RGA. So yeah, that's pretty sweet, and you don't see a lot of Les Paul shaped guitars with Evertune bridges for sure.
No, we've also got some. I mean, I know very little about LTD and ESP. I'll be honest; they're one of the brands that I have probably the least experience with. But I get the feeling they might be quite ergonomic because the one that I played at Benji's was really, really nice to play. So I feel I should educate myself. But in Austria, there doesn't seem to be that many shops that don't seem to be that available. I guess we'll have to go back to Coleman at some point.
Yeah, there's some misperception also about some of the Eclipse models because you got to differentiate between full thickness models and the regular thickness models, because the like smaller regular thickness models, they tone-wise gravitate more towards an SG tone. So actually, their Viper series that looks like an SG sounds much more like a Les Paul, whereas the regular thickness Eclipse sounds much more like an SG. So that kind of when I was
really
testing guitars back in the day, and this is why I think at some point they introduced a full thickness version of the Eclipse, because it has a lot more mass, and that actually adds to the tone and makes it sound like a Les Paul. But a lot of their like thinner Eclipse models, they are rather thin sounding. They are more on the lighter side, definitely. which is not always bad. It's just like different. You would expect more punch and more growl from them. Yeah.
Sure. Well, Robert Baker has just joined us in the green room, so you can't see him, you can't hear him, but we can. We know he's there. Hopefully, he can see and hear us. He's kind of, you want to see? He's dancing. He's doing some body popping. That's the word. We're just going to do our picks of the week. We should probably bring in Robert and welcome him to the show. Then we do our picks of the week from the gear. Then we can buy, borrow, or burn, and then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty with Robert. How do you feel about that, Dan?
Sounds lovely. And actually, maybe Robert can pick the third pick of the week.
Sure.
So that would be nice.
Robert, I'm going to bring Robert in, but one of the things about this new laptop is the screen is seriously smaller, so I can't even see I need bigger glasses. Hang on, where is it? There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting for him. He's here. It's Robert Baker. Hello, Robert Baker.
Well, howdy. Can you guys see me, hear me?
I can. Yep. If I can, that should mean that Dan can as well, which means that the people of the internet can also see and hear you. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm getting my screens organized here.
Yeah, we've got new screens as well, so we're just trying to get this all done. We've got an insanely large amount of people watching the show at the moment. 116 people are watching live, which is the highest number we've had all year.
Yeah.
We're all just hanging out.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You know what? I had a light and it just died. So now I'm like, it probably looks like I'm lurking in the shadows.
I mean, I recognize you. It looks like you.
That looks like you, smells like you. It's definitely you.
Yes. So, Robert, is it Robert or Rob, or I have to ask, do people call you Rob or Robert?
Just Robert. Yeah.
Okay.
I never had a cool nickname.
No. Okay. Well, I'm still Andy, and Dan is still Dan.
Yeah.
But
this works out great.
Great. We've just been doing doing our gear picks, which picks that haven't been our picks. So now we're going to talk about our favorite gear of the week. I'm going to play a little jingle, and we'll go into my pick of the week. My computer's playing up a little bit, Robert, so we should be fine, but you never know. It might all just crap out as well. So first time for the jingle this year. Right. Yeah. It has crapped out. Come on, come back. Right, this is my pick of the week. The Robert's gone as well. Hang on. I've got to bring Robert in. There's Robert. We'll stick you on the side just there. The D1 version 2 from Walrus Audio, the delay pedal as part of the Mako series. I actually have one with me right here. And it is flipping brilliant. It is so good. It is... I mean, I've got a video coming out tomorrow for it, so I shouldn't give too much away, but just to cut straight to the chase, it's probably everything you want in a delay pedal of that size. It's brilliant. It's so inspiring. It does the basic stuff that a delay pedal needs to do. It also does some weird and wacky stuff, and it's stereo, and it's got MIDI, and it's got USB, and well, that's about it.
It has everything.
Yeah. So that's my pick of the week. If you haven't played it, that's probably because they're not out yet, but it did get announced today. So if you're listening some point this week in the early hours of the show, then they're priced around $250-$300, something like that. So it's not a cheap pedal, but as I said, it's one of those delay pedals that could be doing everything you need in a delay pedal. And with the MIDI thing, you've got 128 presets and 9 presets without MIDI. So
what was it called again?
It's from Walrus Audio. It is the D1 version 2.
Oh, that's cool. I'm like a sucker for delay pedals.
I think you'd like that. So you can go from, fattening up a solo to actual reverse delay as well. And there's modulation, there's tape emulation, so a dirtiness in it. There's also It does dotted eighths as well, which is great for all the U2 fans.
The YouTube
all of
delay
them.
tone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my pick of the week. In a minute, Robert, we're going to decide if that's one we should buy or we should just borrow, or if we should burn, because that's something we do on the show. We buy, we borrow, or we burn gear. So I'm hoping that one's going to survive.
I didn't realize it was such a violent show.
So violent, it's so up to date. It's so 2022. So without further ado, let's go to Dan's pick of the week.
Yeah.
Dan's pick of the week. Dan's pick of the week.
Dan, your pick of the week, sir, seems to be a guitar.
It is. And I'm cheating a little bit because it's not necessarily a pick of the week. It's more like a pick of the month. But since we didn't have 2 shows in a row in January, I decided to kind of cheat a little bit with my pick. So this is the new Ibanez Premium AZ47P1 QM. And why I was picking this one, it's not just like an average AZ. I mean, those are out in the market for a long time already, but it's the very first AZ that comes, non-signature AZ, that comes stock with DiMarzio pickups. And I'm totally digging the tones, you know.
Okay.
Air Norton Tone Zone True Velvet, basswood body. That's like you dial the amp, everything to 11, and then you're good to go to rock out with that beast. Ebony fretboard, super smooth neck. That's, I mean, among all the guitars from the January release, this is definitely my number 1 pick, and this is why it's my pick of the week too. And look at the headstock.
Wow.
They now come with a color black finish.
I dig that. Like,
Yep.
obviously, I had a bit of an issue with you choosing an Ibanez guitar for your first pick of the year, even though it didn't come out this week. But it is such a gorgeous guitar. I can't really argue. And I do know that being an AZ, it's probably going to be fantastic. I'm a massive fan of the AZ. So, you know, I don't really have an issue. But I did say I was going to give you some shit for it. But there it is. That's the extent of me chastising you.
Yeah, I know. That's how such a gentleman you are.
Thanks. You're welcome. Robert, any thoughts on that?
Thoughts on the guitar?
Yeah. What do you reckon?
No, I mean, I think it looks really cool. I used to have an old RGA a long time ago, and it was just a plain top though. But yeah, I haven't owned an Ibanez in a long time. They're not really around here, so I hadn't even played one.
Oh dear, we'll have to fix that.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I know some people. Okay, well, I think it's a good pick. Is it the best of the week? I don't know. Robert, is there any gear that you've seen this week that you would suggest should make a list of best gear of the week?
Yeah, I have it here if you want me to show it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yes.
What
have you got?
It's hooked up. It just came out. I'm not doing a video on it or anything. But have you seen this? I'm not sure.
There. Yeah, you're in frame. Is it the Boost? Is it a Boost?
Yeah, it's from Source Audio. It's their first analog pedal they've ever come out with. So it's just it's a Boost, but it has different circuits and stuff. Pete Thorne actually even just did a video about it, and he said as soon as he opened it up, he put it on his pedal board and took it with him on tour. So
wow,
it's the ZIO. I don't know. It sounds so good. I've been using it with my Marshall here, and as soon as they sent it to me, I was just like, boom. That's all I use now. No need for a tube screamer, nothing. This thing. So the ZIO or Zio, I don't know how to say it, but that would be my pick for sure. So I think that just came out like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, it certainly came out recently. I remember seeing it announced, and I always have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Boosts because I now know that they're a necessary pedal and they're really, really cool. But I used to think they just made things louder, so it always exposes how I used to misconceive them.
Yeah, it has, like I said, it has different settings on it and stuff. So it's I think it sounds great, but I'm sure there's a bunch of videos out on it by now. But
Yeah, well, I'm sure Pete. Does Pete Thorne have one? Did you say he has, or did he just throw it on his board?
Yeah, he's on tour or something with the classic rock show, and I think he's in England. And he did it like on stage. He was just showing it because he wasn't going to have time to make the video. He said so. He put it on his pedal board, shipped it off, and then did the video on stage. Using mics and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I mean, like he said all the same things that I thought about the pedal as soon as I played it. I was like, "Whoa, this thing's so good!" So it's
Okay. Well, that's
legit.
a good contender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a Robert? Is it an
Excuse me.
always on kind of pedal, or is it just like predominantly for boosting stuff? Because I think from what I understood, it's designed to kind of make everything sound nicer. So would you
Yeah.
recommend that?
Yeah, it's tough because it's like you turn it on and then I turn it off. I'm like, well, I don't like you anymore. Turned off. So then I have to turn it back on. But I'm like, but now I need a boost for the boost pedal because I want it to stay like this tone. So I'm sure there will be a deluxe pedal coming soon of like a boost for your boost.
Yeah.
Second boost stage or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, it's real. I like it because it's simple to use, but it has like depth to it as well. Like some boosts are just like turn it on, it's like one knob. I'm like, well, sometimes I want to have more control over what's happening and just like louder, like you said. So, but there's also not 20 settings on it. So I don't know. It's cool though. If you get a chance to try one, like I said, everyone who's played it, they're like, "What is this pedal?" I'm like, "It's not out yet, bro." So.
Well,
That's what it is.
I can't quite fancy your pedal now. Damn it. Okay. We have to put it to the live chat to buy, borrow, or burn. So we listed a load of gear tonight. I think this is the most gear we've ever featured in an episode. We had some PRS. We had the whole Ibanez range from Soho. We had the Gibson pedals. We had the Walrus Audio D1, the Zio, and the Ibanez AZ that Dan chose that I don't remember the numbers for. What is it, Dan?
47P1QM.
That one. Okay, so it is time to buy, borrow, or burn.
Buy, borrow, or burn.
Oh, Robert's disappeared. There he is. Sorry. I'm going to guess for Dan. We do a bit of a guessing game and see how well we know each other. Buying, borrow, or burning. I think Dan knows which one I'm going to burn. I'm pretty sure about that. I think Dan would buy the Gibson fuzz pedal, the FZM or FZM.
All right.
Okay, I think I got that wrong. I think he would borrow a Silver Sky SE. I think he would burn. Oh dear. Burn the other Gibson pedals. Oh, there's too much gear. I'm too confused. Dan, was I close?
Not at all. Nope.
Damn it.
No. I think I definitely borrowed the AZ from the showroom, but I got so much gear that I probably can't justify to buy another one. I would probably burn the Camo LTD, not the ESP. That goes to the museum or something, or on Reverb, but the LTD. And actually, I'm super intrigued by both pedals. I'd probably buy both pedals and have an awesome tone and never switch them off.
Do you mean the boost and the delay?
Yeah, correct. So I got a nice boosted delay tone. Yeah. Zion and the one. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, deal. Well, I'm telling you now, you can't have it. Staying here.
Look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants. No, okay, so am I supposed to guess for Rob?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right. So he already gave it away that the Zion is something that he absolutely digs. So he's assuming that he wasn't given the pedal. I would say he would buy that pedal after trying that. He would probably borrow the delay and burn the burn the interface because he has real amps and he doesn't need a computer in between, except for recording his videos. But I don't know.
Almost. I think I would have to burn that LTD all
right, there
all
you
day
go.
long.
All right.
Okay.
Well, it's like should we approach it like, am I burning something to stay warm? Because it's got to be wood at that point. So
Yeah, I mean that burns best. A pedal wouldn't hold you warm for a long time. That's for sure.
it would keep you warm on the inside, your soul.
Yeah. I don't know what the ingredients are. Maybe there's some nice firework if you throw it in the fire. I don't know. Capacitors
How are we
and
starting
everything.
this? I was gonna say you need something to start the fire. So
There you go. Yeah.
I think I could probably start a fire with the fuzz pedal, like enough heavy riffing, and then stick the booster in the fuzz, and then the delay, so it continues forever, and then it's bound to be some sort of fire hazard there somehow. But we've unanimously decided to burn the LTD camo.
and never speak of it again.
No. Okay. Well, let's
Jumanji style. Just
let's go to the chat. Greenfly12 would burn PRS just generally, borrow the Ibanez and buy the Gibson pedal. Bustle would burn the ESP, buy the delay, and borrow the new Ibanez. Poo Ninja, buy the Ibanez, burn the Skies, borrow everything else. That's not the rules, Poo Ninja. You can't borrow everything. Andy Bungert would buy the Walrus delay, borrow the Maestro pedal line, and burn the Ibanez. Pretty but boring. Okay. Let's end on this one. Just burn the camo, 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 burn the camo from Ian Johnston. Yeah, that kind of sums up the episode really for me so far.
we're done.
Yeah, we're at. Thanks for a great show.
Already, episode title is already decided, right?
Yeah.
Burn the camo.
Vandyman he said bought the riff. Does that mean he would buy it, or he actually has bought it? Because you can pre-order it. So maybe. But also burn the camo. Wow, we're all united this evening and this afternoon on the show. We're going to burn some camo guitars.
You know what? It was a guitar that someone had to make, and they were just like, "Leave it to us, guys. We got you. Let's make a guitar for everyone to hate."
Well, thank you, ESP, for sticking your neck out and allowing us to have some fun. That, I guess, brings us to the end of today's gear part of the show, which means we can officially start talking to our guest, Mr. Robert Baker. We have many questions for you, Robert. We're just going to give you your guest introductions so we have a moment to collect our thoughts.
Sure.
Wow, we're back. Like people that come back from nowhere, like a burnt camo guitar from the ashes. Mr. Robert Baker, we're here on the Guitar Stories podcast. The first thing we'd like to do is talk about your guitar story, and then we wanted to sort of pick your brain on how to make the best from online guitar lessons, yourself being an online guitar tutor.
Sure.
So, Robert Baker, how would you sum up yourself? Like, if someone doesn't know you, what do you do?
Long-haired hillbilly, plays pentatonic scale thousands of times, makes videos over it. I think that sums up, like, it sets the expectation pretty much on par. Like, then you watch a video and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So
yeah, I think you've nailed it. I think you should just go and rewrite your bio right now. Somebody should transcribe that for us. Yeah, genuinely welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us on the show, because you're a first of 2022. Also, from my side, I've bought your course and I learn from you. I'd like to say daily, but you know how it is. As often as I can. But we'll go into that later. But regarding the guitar story, Dan, do you want to kick off with the guitar story questions to find out why Robert is here as a guitar player?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm always interested in kind of what sparked your interest in playing the guitar, and what was your first guitar?
Oh, well, so what kind of made me want to start playing guitar was actually my dad one day. I was obsessed with the band Creed, like before playing guitar. And I think he was just so sick of me like listening to Higher, like for like the thousandth time. And he's like, he's a Southern guy, and he's just like, boy, let me play you some real music. And he pulls out 1984, and he puts in,
Whoa.
and he turns it to Hot for Teacher, and I'm just like, you know, hear the drums and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, here comes in, well, I didn't know what it was. It's Eddie Van Halen, the tapping intro. I'm like, what is that? And he's like, that's Eddie Van Halen, boy. That's a real guitar player. Like, not making fun of Mark Tremonti. I love Mark Tremonti. He's an incredible guitar player, but you know, my dad was just like, no, this is the guy. And I'm like, whoa. So then I quickly like want to play guitar, spiral into depression because I'll never play like Eddie Van Halen. And here I am today. So still spiraling.
Yeah, how's that spiral?
Yeah, it's going strong. So
I like it when we spiral past each other and I just sort of wave from the other side of the spiral. Hey.
And then my first guitar, oddly enough, looked identical to what the Silver Sky looks like. The first one, it was like, if I showed you pictures, same headstock, everything. It was an old Samick guitar in a silver sparkle finish, 3 single coils. It like, I showed people and they're like, that's literally like a Silver Sky. I'm like, it looks exactly like a Silver Sky. And that was my first guitar.
Great.
Wow. I'm just Googling Samick stuff just to see if I can. I think I might have found it, and I think you're absolutely right. Hang on.
Yeah, it's someone's like signature guitar. At the time I didn't know it.
Is this it? Is it going to crap out now that I'm trying to put something on the screen? Yeah, it is going to crap out. Hang on, let me do this. For all the people listening to the audio version, sorry about this. Let's do that. It's not going to let me do it because it's a web image. Oh, boo.
Oh, damn, you got to convert it first, yeah.
Yeah.
So you played the OG Silver Sky.
Yeah. John Mayer stole my starting guitar.
There, is that it?
Oh, that would make for a clickbaity title.
Yeah. I don't see anything yet.
It's on.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a delay on the show.
Oh, there's a delay. I do beg your pardon. Can you see it on the screen, anybody?
Oh yeah, that looks just a lot like the Silver Sky. Yeah.
Do you see that, Robert?
I don't. I can't see Dan. I see you, and then that's it. You see a cool Jazzmaster looking guitar. Oh, I see. Yeah, that was basically it. Like I said, you know what, the headstock is different than what I remember, but that, I mean, it's like kind of what the Silver Sky ended up being.
It's pretty flipping close, yeah.
It is close.
Even down
Actually,
to
you
the
know what,
Crossroad cover.
Yeah, mine was a little bit different. It must have been a different model, but it's a Samick, same color and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, all right. Was it a good guitar from your today's perspective? Is it a good beginner's guitar?
I don't know. I wish so much I could get it back and have it. It was like $80. I remember that much, and I traded it for do you know who Esteban is?
No.
No? Oh man, okay. It's probably just the thing in the States here. It's this like flamenco player guy who used to sell guitars on like a home shopping channel.
Oh,
and
cool.
Oh my god, you have to look up Esteban. It's incredible. Me and my dad used to like stay up and watch him like at 1 a.m. like as he's like demoing this. Like he has this incredible custom $10,000 guitar, and he's like, this one's just like it, and it's this $200 guitar. But anyway, I traded it for one of those and his like instructional DVDs.
Wow.
Worst trade ever.
So you went from electric to a nylon Spanish guitar. That's like the opposite of what people normally do, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a steel string. It was a normal like acoustic. But
it was a normal, sorry.
Yeah, I had another electric at that point. So I didn't have an acoustic. So I was like, oh, I want
Ah.
an acoustic. And yeah, and I did that trade. And he traded to someone else, and they just like destroyed it, just like roached the thing out. And I was just like, man. So no, unfortunately, there's no chance of even getting it back. But I don't remember much about it. I remember the guy at the store like handed it to me, like, here, try it, and I'm just like never played guitar before, don't even know how to like, clang clang. Yeah, this is the one. So it's funny because it's the same way I test out guitars now. So you know,
I've seen your videos. I'm very very inspired by your clang clang technique.
Yeah.
Do you gig, Robert? Do you gig? Have you gigged? Is there a music scene where you are?
Not really. It's more like a bar scene around here. I gigged for a long time. For probably like a solid 5 years. From the time I was like 17 until I was like into my 20s, and then I quit for a while, mainly because I just wanted to focus on trying to get better at guitar, and I felt like I wasn't, because we were always rehearsing the same songs, and I wasn't like practicing like what I wanted to. So then I stopped gigging for about 5 years, and then that was when I decided to start like YouTube, like in 2012 or something like that. Wow. And and then I like doing that stuff, and then like the local shop here was like, oh hey, good. I took lessons there when I was younger, and they're like, hey, we need a teacher, would you want to teach? And it just kind of I'm like, oh yeah. So then I started teaching there, and that kind of grew, and then YouTube was growing as well. And then I was in a band again for a while, and then it's just too busy to really like do something like that now. But yeah, so
we've got a comment in the live chat which is not related to anything you just said. It's from Pamela Armstrong. A friend of mine shot the videos for Esteban. That guitar was a piece of What a small world.
It was trash. You have to like. I remember it was amazing because then it came with like the typical like Fender starter amp that just sounds like, garbage. And he would be like, you can play rock and roll on it, and he would plug in his electric acoustic into this thing and be like, dun, 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 and it would just sound horrible. And he would have a full band and everything. You have to look him up.
I'm writing it down to make sure that I do, because it will definitely be on YouTube somewhere.
So he's the guy with the black hat and the sunglasses and everything, right?
Yeah. And he's a good guitar player. Like I'm not gonna take anything away from him. Like flamenco is his thing, but
what did you Google? Esteban guitar?
Thousands and thousands of guitars.
Correct, Esteban guitar. Yeah, and then you go to the images, and then you see all.
That heck yes!
They're very like kind of Martin inspired, but with a kind of Christian Southern vibe to it. I don't know. He's got the inlays and everything.
Let's get him on the show. Let's get him here. See if he can sell some guitars.
Like I said, as far as the guitar player goes, I mean, dude's the real deal. He was good. So
amazing.
But it's just funny. It's any kind of home shopping channel. It's hysterical to watch the stuff. So
yeah, he knows how to pose. That's for sure.
Yeah, he is the catalog guy. Look at that. Well, if you're listening to the audio version, just stop listening and go and have a look at it. If you're watching this, we don't mind if you go away and come back. It's that good. Robert, so you gigged. Were you like was it a rock band? So I from your videos, I guess you're into Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and again the Pentatonics. But was it stuff that you enjoyed playing, or was it like a top 40s band, or what's the history?
No, we were mostly original. I was in 2 bands. So I was in at one point I was in 3 bands, but the 2 main ones that I did was this like really hardcore, like detuned, like drop C, just like straight metal stuff. I have one video on my channel of it from us playing at some church or something when I was like 17 maybe or 16. And then the other stuff was like rock and roll, which that was like what I like truly loved. I like the hardcore stuff was fun, and it was real complex, like metal-y stuff. But I definitely knew, I was like, no, like rock rock music is what really kind of like speaks to me. Like I look forward to writing all this stuff, and so it was kind of both, you know. And we would learn a bunch of, you know, Skinner, and the one guy would always introduce us and joke that we were a Poison tribute band because we liked playing Poison songs a lot. And our singer would always introduce them. We wrote this song back in 1987. Let's go down and down, and just go right into talk dirty to me. So it was hilarious, but it was fun. You know, I'm still buddies with all of them. We're just busy, you know, with life.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'm trying to find a bass player at the moment. It's impossible. There's not one in the entire country.
It's so difficult.
Any bass players listening, you know, hit me up.
Yeah, and especially when you find like a really good bass player, it's so like rewarding. You're like, oh my god, it's the best thing. You know, bass gets such a bad rap, but there's nothing better than playing with a good bass player. Yeah, I'm just like, man. So.
Well, I'm playing with a really good drummer, and that makes a really, really nice. I don't want to say change. I want to say experience. I play with lots of drummers, and this drummer fits the style that we're playing, the blues rock style. It's just he kind of tickles the drummers rather than plays them. It's just this lovely feel. I really enjoy playing with him.
Nice.
So if you're a bass player, you know, or a guitar player with a bass, we'll maybe settle for that.
High praise for bass players. That's rare. That's like a rare occasion in the show. So,
yeah,
Robert knows his stuff. Yeah. So, Robert, you said you started YouTube in 2012. So that's a 10-year anniversary this year, right?
Hey, it is. I think my channel actually started in like 2006 or something, and that was just because you had to like create a channel to watch. I forget, there was like some video I wanted to watch. You had to be like 18 to watch it, and I'm like, I don't know. And like, you know, you put in your fake age and all that kind of stuff and watch whatever stupid video it was. But so I think that's when the channel technically started, but I didn't actually like start being like, oh, I'm going to make lessons and stuff like that until 2012. That was whenever I decided that I wanted to focus on that, you know, which was like a whole different world than YouTube is now. It's so much nicer and not all like sketched out like it was. So
and what was it that made you kind of come up with the idea or the urge to kind of create lessons your own? Was it because there was no such thing that you really liked, or because you just thought, I might give it a shot because I just like to be in front of the camera? I mean,
part of it. Well, part of it was I had like, you know, buddies growing up. We all were playing guitar. And I always liked, they would ask me to show them like whatever I was working on. And I would even have like tabs, like we created folders, and I would like tab out like, oh, here's like this legato exercise and that kind of stuff. So I liked teaching. I didn't know that I liked teaching. I was just like, just showing your buddies like, oh, this is how you do this. And it was actually a Rob Chapper's video that I was watching it, and I was just like, oh, here's like this. I mean, Rob's an amazing guitar player, but more like normal guy. Like he's not this like Slash figure. And he's like talking about, he's working with all these companies, and he was like posting these lesson videos. And I'm like, well, he's kind of goofy. And like, I'm super weird and goofy. So I was like, well, maybe I could do that, you know? So I just remember borrowing my mom's web laptop because it had a webcam on it. And I was just like, started making like crappy YouTube videos. And again, I keep with it to this day. Same crappy YouTube videos. still going strong.
I remember seeing you had this really small desk. I remember seeing your videos where you had a really tiny desk and you were sat next to the computer filming it. And you're one of my first memories of watching YouTube as a guitarist, because I watched YouTube and I was a guitarist. I never really connected the two. They didn't sort of meet. But for some reason, I don't know which video it was, but that stands out, where you're sat at this, like, not even room for one person desk, and you seem all cramped. And I'm going to have to try and dig that video up, because I don't even know what you were doing in the video, but that desk stood out to me. Do you still have it? Can I have that desk?
No, that thing fell apart. That is, you know what's so funny about that? And people, I've told this story before on my channel, but like that room that I was in, that we were like just broke and didn't have any money, so we we painted the room, but we didn't have enough paint to paint the whole room. So we had like literally half of the room painted because the other room was this like crappy white, and we just had that half of the room painted for the videos like forever. Like that was it. And that desk was actually my wife's from her room whenever she moved out of her parents' house. And the chair fell apart. So if you watch the video, I'm actually sitting on like a cajon that I had. It's so funny to like think, yeah, that desk. Because I remember I got that. The Mac was the first for me like turning point on YouTube because it was like I forget it. I mean, waited like 3 years to get that thing or something. Like took a long time to get that. But then I could actually do the editing that I wanted to do. It wasn't like Windows Movie Maker anymore. I'm like, oh man, I'm legit now. I've got iMovie. So, but
great.
But yeah, so it's funny when you mention that desk. That's like all the stuff I like pops on my head. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember sitting there like looking at the other wall. It's like completely different color, and oh man.
Amazing.
Yeah, you've recently moved, haven't you? Or I want to say recently, but in terms of videos, you seem to have recently moved studio.
Yeah, so we so the house, I'm still in the same house. I'm in my house right now. So I have a real little kind of like home studio here. But the other studio we moved into a much bigger place and just wanted something that was not attached to the house anymore. So kind of feels more like going to work and then coming home, and we leave work at work, and home is now home. So
all right.
So yeah, so that was a big move. That took a long time to. It took about 3 months to get moved in and all that. So
all right, okay.
It's never want to do it
Is that
again, ever.
Yeah, is that a piece of advice you can give other YouTubers as well to kind of get some sort of distance between your working sphere and your private life, because that can sometimes blur into each other at some point, and might be difficult to kind of draw a line where you say, okay, now it's time for me, or now I got to work on my stuff.
Yeah,
and no,
yeah, I mean, I would say 1000%. I know for myself, I personally have a hard time like turning off work mode. Like once I get working, I'm in work mode like that. I just want to work, and that comes from working with my dad. When we would go put up fence posts in the pasture, it'd be like, well, you're done when the work's done, So it would be hard for me to exit work mode when work was just right here, so I would always be thinking of like, oh, video ideas. I'm like, oh, I should do this and this, and my wife would be like, hey, like, we're not working right now, so like stop talking about YouTube. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, but it's hard to do whenever it's just work and home are so intertwined. So then once we've done that, we've been there 4 or 5 months now, and it's so much better. Like I like just the like mental health side of it is like 100 times better than what it was. So it's
and is the studio far from your house? Is it a far trip, or
no,
is it convenient?
It's like 5 minutes, so it's like 5 minutes. It's close. We do have neighbors and stuff now, like sharing a wall, but they're like super, super cool. It was like the best situation ever. The landlord is like one of the coolest guys I've met. I told him like what we wanted to do, and he's basically just like, do whatever you want to the place, it's yours. Cool. So I'm like, perfect. Wow. So
that's a good looking place.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's all my wife. That if it was left up to me, it would look like this. Just white walls, guitars everywhere. Like this is what it would look like.
Okay, that makes me feel so much better. Is she also your camera operator? Because I hear videos, and I see videos, sorry, and I hear her on the couch or something, and then the camera's moving. I'm like, hang on, a guitar YouTuber with a moving camera? You must be married or have a very understanding partner or something like this.
Yeah, so what's funny is I don't even know how to use our cameras. I have like other ones that I got whenever she started help. I was a Canon guy. I went to school and we used Canons and all that kind of stuff. And then when she started helping me, she really wanted to switch to Sony. She wanted the S3s and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to learn how to use a new system. I'm old. I'm lazy. No, and she was like, no, I want to do it. Cause she was familiar with Sony. She already had one. And she likes to do all that kind of stuff. So that's totally all her. If anything ever looks good, that's why I'm like, it's her. Trust me. It's not me. No, it's not the hairy guy that's sitting there. I had no part in it. I just play the guitar.
All right.
Well, that's brilliant. So to talk about, like, to move on from the studio and stuff you've got at Space, we wanted to talk tonight about learning online and how to make the most of it. How important is, like, setting up a practice area? Like I have trouble setting up practice times, but I find that if I'm in the right area, if I set myself a practice zone, if we can say that, then that helps. What sort of tips would you give, Robert?
Yeah, I think with that is the biggest thing is you got to carve out the time to do it, and you got to kind of fight to keep that time, because the second you stop doing it for a little bit, something else will replace the time quickly. There's a new show you're watching, there's whatever, something comes up and it takes the time. That's why when I used to teach in person, like, of 100 people who would quit taking lessons, they'd be like, I'll be back in the spring, like 2 out of 100 would actually come back. And it's just because it's like, well, you had this time chiseled out and then you left and something filled the spot, and now you have to either chisel it back out, which is a lot of effort to even start doing that, or you don't go back to it. So I think that having, like, a area where your guitar's out and ready to go, and you have time that's out and ready to go, like, they have to be there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I always think that, keep your guitar out of the case if you can. Because if you can keep it in your line of sight, it's because it's the out of sight, out of mind situation. If your guitar case is in a case under the bed, you won't see it. But if it's out, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play guitar for a little bit, So I think that helps.
Sure. And one of the things, like, the difference between being online and actually going to a teacher is that, as you said, carving out that time when you go to see a teacher. Like, I can, like, I'm very passionate about playing guitar, but I used to play violin. I had violin lessons, and I was not passionate about playing violin. And every time I went to see the teacher, I would have to apologize for not having practiced. So when you're doing stuff online, you don't have a teacher that to motivate you. So how can we get around that? Like, if you're not feeling motivated, if you're not feeling in the mood to practice, how do you get that sort of discipline of whoops, if I don't practice, my teacher's going to slap my wrists?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Part of it is there's always going to be a struggle with the self-discipline, in my opinion. And that's, it's like with anything, like, the more you can practice it and exercise that muscle, the better you'll get at that as well. So if you can just try to, what do they say? Like, it takes 2 weeks to form a habit or something like that, like the repetition of it. There's some like scientific thing that I'm not qualified to actually say, but is like, just really try hard. Like, I do everything on my phone. I set alarms on my phone to where it's like, okay, it's time for me and my son to sit down and, like, read. He has to read a book each night for school. I'm like, if I didn't set these alarms, I wouldn't remember half the stuff. So it's like, have something that is going to, like, remind you, like, hey, I need to play guitar for 30 minutes tonight. And just, try it for 1 week. Just try to stick to it for 1 week. And I bet you it'll become a habit. And then you'll just be like, oh, I want to go play guitar. And that 30 minutes is now, oh shoot, I played guitar for 2 hours. I'm late, so,
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of how you have to approach that. Cause, like you said, there isn't that accountability factor of a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I know I had a really, really good guitar teacher, and he would always divide up the lessons. Half of it was what I wanted to learn. So whatever Van Halen riff I was trying to play, and he'd be like, okay, cool. I also want you to go home and learn this. We're going to learn the C major scale. And he would write out he didn't tab it out. He wrote the notes, but not on notation, like on tablature. He wrote, C, D, E, that kind of thing. And then I would have to come back in. And if I didn't know the part that he thought I should learn, he's like, all right, well then we're taking your first half of your lesson. And now we're going to relearn this part. And I'm going to give you something new. And you're just going to keep working on the Van Halen thing where it's at. So,
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Good motivation. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked forward to it, and he kind of tricked me. It's like eating your vegetables or something. I was like, I didn't know I was learning important stuff. I just wanted to get through that so I could learn more Van Halen.
Yeah. I think it's with a lot of parts, like getting started, like you just said, creating a habit. But I mean, if you're exercising, the first couple days, they are the worst, right? Once you get into a routine, it's fairly easy. It just becomes like I said, routine or a habit. So, but I mean, you said you had a face-to-face teacher back in the day, right?
Yeah, I had two really, really good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how?
Okay.
Yes. No. Finish, please. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the one was Tim McMillan and then Milo Scambolone. But what was your question?
Right. Yeah, I was just like wanting to go down the road. At that time, like you said, YouTube was a different scene, but what would you take at that time from YouTube? Were there already lessons that were good enough to actually take something from that? Or is that just something that has changed with the whole paradigm shift towards a like social media landscape of TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, where there's a lot of variety, but also a overwhelmingly number of services and courses and everything.
Yeah, no, definitely back then there wasn't so much lessons. It was more people just posted like cover videos. So then you could see someone's hands playing the George Lynch lick that like threw me off for so long. I'm like, that's what he does in Mr. Scary. Like or you could see finally someone doing the tapping part to get the funk out, and I'm like, that's what Nuno's been doing this whole time. Like that was kind of the cool part for me, was getting to see that stuff. And to me, and those were lessons. And then, like I said, when I started watching Chapters, he would post lessons every once in a while. It wasn't really his main thing at the time, but just, I know as I learned things, I was like, well, I wish someone would like post a lesson about this. And I was like, why don't I post a lesson about that? And then I would do just like, here's 3 like ascending runs in G major. And a lot of those are still some of my most popular, videos, which today I'd be like, those things suck. But at the time, 240p camera. I mean, it was top of the heap for me anyways.
Yeah.
I think Dan touched on something really big there, that there is so much information, so many different ways to learn guitar right now. And there's not only as a guitar player do I feel a little overwhelmed, like the more you learn, the more you don't know. It's just like, what can I practice today to make me better than I was yesterday? Mm-hmm. Oh, another pentatonic lick with a fuzz pedal. Whoops.
Did we study from the same teacher?
Yeah, you definitely paid more attention at lessons, though. That's for certain. Do you ever do anything, Robert, that's out of your comfort zone, like both musically and sort of music genre based? Like, do you do anything that isn't the music you enjoy, just to sort of try and expand guitar knowledge in that way?
Oh yeah, shoot, yeah. A lot of the stuff I know, like what I listen to outside of like playing stuff, isn't necessarily like the most like guitar heavy kind of music. Like I don't listen to a lot of the instrumental guitar stuff, and I actually don't really even like writing instrumental. I just can't sing, so I'm like stuck. I'm forced to make instrumental music because I just can't sing. But I really love listening to like funk music, which to me the guitar is not the main instrument, and that it's kind of the accompanying one, and then the bass and the drums are more front and center than anything else. Or I've been listening to a lot of like fiddle, stuff. Just like listening to their lines are crazy. I'm like, it's like the craziest like Ingve-ish things. I'm like, man, they were doing that way before. And like, Eddie and all those guys. Like you hear these crazy. What's his name? Amazing, famous fiddle guy in Nashville. Brent Mason played guitar on his album. I can't think of his name right now. But he's just like shredding fiddle or violin and that kind of stuff. I really enjoy listening to that. It's not so much rock music, but it's just the only thing I know how to play. So then when I make a video, I'm like, all right, back to rock music. So
maybe you could do some fiddle inspired licks, like some riffs that and transfer them from a fiddle to a guitar. I'd watch the heck out of that.
Yeah, I want to. A long time ago, I learned. Don't know it anymore, but I learned the "Devil Went Down to Georgia." That one, it's so cool. I learned it on guitar because I saw Keith Urban. There was a video of him playing it, and I'm like, "Whoa, what is that?" And I'm like, "That's so cool." And then I had to like learn it on guitar, but yeah, I forgot that a long time ago. It was probably replaced with some power chords or something. But
it's been pushed out by
yeah.
Intro in,
you
intro
don't need
out.
that.
I think one thing that's really clear with you, Robert, which we can't quantify this, but it's really clear that you love guitar and you seem to also love showing people things about guitar, and that naturally makes you, I think, a great teacher. Dan, would you agree on that?
Definitely. Yep. Definitely. I think when as a teacher, sometimes you also revisit your own stuff, or if you think about how could you get the message across, how could you convey the chunk of information to your student, I think this is where you internally also make some progress, because this is the decisive part. Did you really get it, or do you just think you got it? And I don't know. I feel like if you are as dedicated as Robert to teaching and to the guitar, it's just a perfect match to make a career out of educational YouTube content. Whereas if you just think it's a trend, or you just want to be the next guitar hero, not every guitar hero is necessarily a good teacher, right?
Yeah, I think that's a huge. I remember. Ingve is one of my favorite guys, but I remember I bought one of his DVDs like early on, and from a teacher standpoint, it was horrible, like terrible. Play it like diminished scale, but I still learned a lot from it because other than that, like you didn't have that kind of like close up of Ingve's hands, like that didn't exist. But it was a classic case of like Ingve's at such a higher level than most of us, that his slow was like faster than our fast. I'm like, what did he just do there? I'm like, I'm like, oh, I see. I just put my hands anywhere and play really fast. Got it. But I mean, like, I feel like I think he does instructional stuff now, and he's like way more slowed down, chilled, about teaching. But I remember that early stuff. It was like, oh, I'm gonna learn some Ingve finally, and then like I get it, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna learn some Ingve.
Yeah,
not today.
I think that everything has been professionalized much more. I think nowadays if they come up with courses, they have some sort of tutor that is behind that kind of checks for some sort of train of thought, and do you really know what he means, instead of just shredding your ass off, and then I go 240 bp and I go 160 bp and that's it. But also teaching the theoretical construct behind that's even more important than just a nice riff or lick. So
yeah, and even learning how to like, and I'm really guilty of this. I know this is like one of the biggest things that I'm trying to work on the past year or so, that my wife helps me a lot with, is just as a teacher, you have to remember to slow down, not just your playing, but like the way you're talking about something. Like, slow it down a little bit. You don't have to like rush through the stuff. Just because you know what you're talking about doesn't mean that the viewer knows what you're talking about. And I'll do that a lot where I'm teaching or something, and I was like, hey, like, take a breath, slow down, and like just do that part over again. Like I'm like, okay, I'm going fast, ain't I? And it's been a real conscious effort because I would, you'd get comments on YouTube and they're just like, man, I like the lesson, but you just go so fast through it. And I'm like, I am going fast, ain't I? So then it's a real conscious effort to slow down. And then after you get your feelings hurt that someone says you suck, and then you're like, okay, all right, I will slow down and I'll do better. But it's tough,
Yeah, and
I've got a
you,
question.
as I said, very passionate. So it must be hard to control that passion, but still use it when you're going slowly.
Yeah, it is. It takes, like I said, you have to brattle the enthusiasm about stuff because you can get. It's kind of like playing live. Like you ever notice how like your vibrato speeds up like by 2 when you're live versus like when you're like chilling at home. I'm like, what's up with that? What are you doing? Like you're not my vibrato. And then it's kind of like that, like you get excited, like because it's a lick. Because I think what happens is you start teaching something. Like if it's a Jimmy Page riff or lick or something, I'm like, oh, I remember how excited I was when I first learned this riff, and you kind of like it sparks that excitement, and then you start speeding up, and you're excited, and you got to remember like, all right, slow down. You've already been excited once about this. You're done. Teach it. So.
Good one. So if we turn tables and if I imagine Robert Baker as a student, when you come across a nice lick on YouTube, how do you approach that? Like, what's your usual routine if you want to pick up a new piece of information and want to add something to your arsenal? How do you do that?
It's funny you mentioned that. That's actually my New Year's resolution this year that I've been working on. To bring it. I've already failed it, but. No, actually, what I'm doing this year to get better is I want to tab out, and it's more just for me. It's not like for a video necessarily. 100 different ideas from these other guitar players that have been really inspiring me to play. So I've tabbed out this Tom Bukovac, this big long line that he played in a video, and there's a Sean Tubbs lick that he played. I'm like, whoa, that's so cool, and I just break it down and just doing it all by ear because there's not tabs for this stuff. These guys are just whipping this stuff out like it's nothing, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. I could never play that, and and so that's it. It's just kind of like hearing these other guys who are just so many light years ahead of you, and then you break it down and you're like, oh, that's cool. Already the thing I learned from Tubbs and Book was I catch myself already incorporating it. And I feel like that's whenever you've practiced something, you're starting to practice it enough, is if you can naturally incorporate it when you're improvising or writing or something like that. If you don't have to think about it, oh, okay, I've run through this quite a few times now. So.
And how, more precisely, how do you do that? Do you speed down the playing speed on YouTube and kind of look first about the positions, or do you just listen to it for a couple times and kind of try to imagine where the notes could be on the fretboard? What's your approach? If we let's talk about a single note lick or something like that. How would you learn that?
Yeah. So nowadays I totally cheat, and it's still one of the best unkept secrets of YouTube. So many people don't know that you can slow videos down now. It's the greatest, and it doesn't change pitch. I used to have slower downers, and they would change pitch, and it drops it octaves. I'm like, man, this sucks. But nowadays you can do it, and it you can do 3/4 speed, and it doesn't change pitch. It still helps a lot working on your ear, and that's what I do. I just slow the stuff down now. I mean, okay. I guess I could be hardcore and be like, no, bro, I only learned this stuff sped up, so sped up or you're not actually playing.
Yeah. That's not legit. Come on, bro.
Yeah. It's not Ingve times 2. It ain't even worth playing.
Oh, goodness. I don't think Ingve's videos are available in times 2. They're only available in half speed and normal speed. That's it. There's a special YouTube setting for Ingve Malmsteen.
Yeah.
Nobody plays faster than Ingve does. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like my max speed. Once you go past that, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It's too fast for me. I can't even like. I think it's my brain. It's just too slow. I can't compute the data fast enough. So.
Yeah. I guess we're going to round up in a minute, but a question I'd like to ask you before we do finish is being like, and it might be linked to my personal, situation at the moment. Being stuck in a rut. What tips would you give for getting out of a rut where you just don't think that you're progressing?
Kind of honestly, what led to me wanting to do the whole tabbing out 100 different examples was because I just felt super, super stuck. And I think that a lot of times the advice is always given to like, well, try a new genre, do all that stuff, which sometimes can work. But just, I think now with being able to slow down, it's like, why don't you try to go learn something that you always wanted to learn how to play? Like maybe it's Eugene's trick bag, but you could never play it up to speed. I'm like, oh, well, you can slow it down to half speed now. Maybe it's the arpeggios and that or something, or some, a Petrucci thing. Like, I would say go do that stuff and learn it at a slower tempo now because you can, and just try to like incorporate that into your own playing. Because if you're like me, I usually get like sidetracked. I start learning something, and then you take like a small little piece of it, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. You could do this with it, and then like I've forgotten what I was initially even learning, and then it's like it spins itself into like, oh, it's a new song idea, it's a new lick, or like that'd be kind of a cool idea for a video, that kind of stuff. So I think going back and learning a lot of that stuff that you thought was like too difficult, now that we can slow it down to like human speeds, is kind of like the best way to get out of a rut.
Okay, then for me it would be Johnny Be Good from Back to the Future. That version.
See, the intro, the crazy solo,
just everything. I've always wanted to learn that from start to finish, and I remember having it on I think it was a Total Guitar Magazine CD with the backing track and everything. So I had it. I had everything I needed in front of me, like the magazine with the tab and the backing track. And what I didn't have was enough understanding, certainly, and the physicality. But I think there must be something out there now where there must be a lesson that really breaks it down, and I could again slow it down and have less excuse not to learn it. So okay, that's going to have to be my thing.
Yeah, and I bet it will spark a lot of excitement. I know that I've done that. I brought up Eugene's trick bag because I was just learning it, and because I was like, I can never remember those like first arpeggio, or it was the fast part at the after the arpeggios, and I realized I've been playing it wrong for like 15 years. I'm like, what? That's what he's doing there? And then I'm like, oh, it's so much easier now. And then I was like, this is cool, And I sat up here and played it for like 30 minutes, just practicing it. And I'm like, oh, see, it was one of those things I always heard and like never really like took the time to learn it. And now I wouldn't say I know it, but I can play it better than I could before because I realized I was missing, an essential part of it.
You were playing Esteban's trick bag.
Yeah. It all goes back to Esteban.
Sorry.
That's next on Robert's channel.
Yeah.
Robert and Esteban. Maestros de Guitarra. Stuff like that. Oh wow.
Robert, thank you so much for joining us, man. I mean, it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's an honor to talk to you, and the people in the chat have been really, really enjoying somebody said earlier, I think it was Sarang, can they slow this live stream down so the hang lasts longer? Oh,
that's nice.
How sweet is that? Thanks, Sarang. Yeah.
Right in the feels.
Right. What's next for you, Robert Baker? What are you up to this year?
This year, new guitar courses. I'm finally going to have the 80s one done, which has been a long time in the works. And I think that's it. I don't think I'll be at NAMM this year. and trying to think what else. I think that's it. More videos, same videos I've been making. Slightly
Sick
different
the notes in
angle.
the pentatonic.
Yeah. Here's the note
Any
you should
guitar
add to the
purchases?
pentatonics.
Yeah.
Any
Any
guitar?
guitar purchases?
You know what?
Yeah.
I just got a new guitar. Well, I didn't just get it. I got it in like October, but I got a Firebird, and then I want to get an Explorer now, which has started this whole new like. Now I need all the weird guitars. So
I want a
heard
Firebird.
that ESP Ltd just has a very nice one. It's called the Snake Bite, and it comes in a unique finish. You might want to check that out, Robert.
No. No.
oh no,
Just
burn
for the sake
the
of
camo.
no, just for the sake of making fun of it, it would be so hilarious to see it actually on your channel being played in some sort of hilarious context.
Just me unhappy the whole time.
Yeah. No. Oh wow.
But what if you picked it up, and what if it just felt and sounded so good that you could ignore the ugliness of it?
That's happened before with guitars. Like sometimes like you get it and like, oh, this guitar is stupid, and then you play it and you're like, all right, I like it.
You win.
But then you never admit it. You can't admit it. You have to hide it. You're like Squidward over there eating a Krabby Patty. So
Just got a wardrobe full of guitars you're not allowed to show on the channel.
yeah, I have them.
Not
You don't even
those.
know what's in this closet over here.
Don't open that door. Boom.
It's all basses.
Oh wow.
That was the makeup for me complimenting the bass players earlier.
Yeah, we're
Getting a
back
little-
back in the middle now.
They're
Back at zero.
getting a little high on their horse over there. So
They can't ride horses.
that needs to be a shirt.
You can take it. You can have it. I'm far too lazy to actually take that through.
Bass players.
Dear listeners, dear viewers, if you want to get more from Robert Baker, there are links to his channel and his wonderful stuff in the video description. And of course, Dan will put it in the description to the audio version of the podcast, I'm sure, Dan. And if you're listening to the audio version, maybe you should do something with someone else's phone. Dan, could you ask people to rate the show for us?
Of course, because we somehow got out of the routine. So let me just remind you of the actual thing to do if you're a fan of the show. Grab your girlfriend's iPhone, grab your grandma's iPhone, grab your dad's iPhone. Oh, whatever smartphone you can get hold of. Go on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating because that will help us to get more visibility, get more viewers, and also get more exciting guests on the channel, just like Robert Baker. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness, so smooth. Yeah, thank you, Robert. I hope that we can get you back at some point. Maybe you can show us the basses in your closet, and and we'll do some more stuff. But genuinely, I'm enjoying the courses that you've made for us, and thank you for those. And
Thank you, man.
Yeah, we'll catch you soon, man.
Yeah, later, buddy.
Thanks for joining.
Okay, thanks everybody. We will see you very, very soon. Bye bye.
Next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.